him to you. He's none other than Dr. Umud Shukri. He's an energy strategist and he's also senior visiting scholar at George Mason University. Dr. Shukri, thank you very much to have joined us. It's a pleasure to have you here. Iran says its agreement with Oman on new shipping lanes is in the final stages, but it will not reopen the Strait of Hormuz until Washington meets the conditions that Iran has laid out. Are we looking at a real breakthrough or simply the beginning of a much harder negotiation process? The Iran wants compensation for war damage, it wants sanctions lifted, it wants frozen assets released and US forces pulled back. Are these realistic demands, or is Iran setting a deliberately high price for reopening the strait?
Thanks for having me on the show. Yes, you mentioned about the last development in Iran-US confrontation and the possible negotiation between Iran and US and indirect negotiation between Iran and US as well. Referring your question, this agreement, we can see it's just technical agreement, but it's not political breakthrough. We have to see that this agreement signed officially with Iran and the US. But at present, I think there is no easy for Iran and the US to reach such agreement. Why? Due to a lot of reasons, especially the last development in the region as well. If we can see such the deal, we can see such opportunity for the shipping route. We can see such the best chance for the insurance companies and shipping company to decrease cost, transit cost from the Strait of Hormuz. But as you mentioned, we can see more demand from the Tehran, as you mentioned, about the withdrawal the U.S. troops, pullback of U.S. troops in the region and getting a compensation, and also lifting all sanctions. And the most important thing for Iran at right now is getting more money, prison assets as well. But in the real politics, Tehran will be able to get some easing on the sanction and getting some prison assets from some countries such as Qatar as well, because during the Raisi era, Iran will be able to release about $7 billion prison assets in South Korea. And under Trump administration, this money transferred to the bank in Qatar, but Iran will not be able to get such money. In the real politics, Iran will be able, after reaching such deal, Iran will be able to get some from this money, and Iran needs such money because due to sanction and due to current situation in the Middle East and Strait of Hormuz, Iran will not be able to sell oil and get money to recover its economy, which damages for the case due to many sanctions from the US, from the EU, from the UN as well.
Dr. Shukri, I'd like to understand, are the US and Iran playing the waiting game as far as this conflict is concerned? Because if we go by the last statements by US President Donald Trump, he says, and I quote, that the US is only semi-negotiating and that it is waiting I don't know whether the US is waiting for inflation, is it waiting for the blockade or the economic pressure to weaken Iran? Because Iran is trying to outlast the US, as per different statements that we've also been seeing and hearing, by keeping pressure on the global energy markets. Which version should we take as the true one, and is it going to work for the other side?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's very optimistic to see that some deal between Iran and the US to solve that old problem after that revolution. For 47 years, there's a lot of problem between Iran and US, and no matter who is in the White House, Democrat and Republican, Iran has many problems with the US, and we cannot expect it during the Trump administration. We can see a deal and solving all problem between Iran and the US. But you know that we have the upcoming election, but in November, and we can expect to see some agreement, for short-term agreement between Iran and the US to solve some problems, especially the free transit in the Strait of Hormuz. As you mentioned, during the first term of Trump administration, he imposed the maximum pressure policy, and when came to power for the second time, also using the maximum pressure policy and also economic pressure to weaken Iran, to pressure to Iran to change to revise its regional foreign policy, to supporting proxy group and something like that. But we can see by the August of 2026, Iran did not change any regional policy and to continue to supporting proxy group, no matter from the Yemeni Ansarullah or Lebanon Hezbollah. And yes, economic pressure and imposed by the Trump administration weaken Iranian economy, and it's not easy for Iran to get money. Money revenue from selling oil to the in the gray market to the China, but it just has an economic pressure on the Iranian ordinary life. But we cannot see some a huge change in Iranian foreign policy and domestic policy due to continuing maximum pressure policy and also economic policy, economic pressure policy as well.
I agree there's a huge change in foreign policy. I agree there are economic pressures on, I think, both the sides, not just one side. But under the situation, there are also the attacks on the ships. The UAE says an Iranian attack hit an ADNOC-linked vessel. ADNOC reports that 15 of its ships have been attacked since the conflict began. Traffic is still in single digits. Warnings about drones and drifting mines are still there. Can any agreement restore the confidence without firm security guarantees? Also, the oil initially rose by more than 1% after both Brent and the WTI fell over 7% last week on hopes of some kind of a deal. What does this volatility tell us, and how sharply could prices move if talks succeed, or I hope not, if they collapse?
Yes, as you mentioned, without that the credible security guarantee, after that the possible deal between, short-term deal between, short-term agreement between Iran and the U.S., all energy, all transit, shipping companies and insurance companies will not able to restart their ordinary, operation in the Strait of Hormuz and Bab el-Mandab as well. And as I mentioned, without this credible security guarantee, we cannot expect to see balance in the regional and global energy market, and we can expect to see oil price jump today after that such situation in the Strait of Hormuz. Brent price jump about $2 or $5 per barrel, and if continued situation, if current situation will continue and we cannot see such deal between Iran and the US, we can expect that oil price goes up, and it's against a global economy and global economy and also consumer countries' national security, economic security, and also global security as well.
All right. Also, I'd like to understand, Iran's Kharg Island export terminals are reportedly empty under the US blockade. US imports of Saudi crude oil have fallen to zero in July, and Venezuelan supplies have surged. Are these temporary adjustments of some kind, or is the conflict permanently reshaping global oil flows?
Yeah, during that energy crisis, especially during the COVID and after that the Russian invasion of the Ukraine, energy diversification will be the main and the key point in every country's energy security. No matter the country will be energy producer or energy consumer. US with the high technology, especially during the Obama administration, will be able to increase oil and gas production capacity after the shale gas revolution. But after that the withdrawal of the after that the last development in the Venezuela, US will be able to import more oil from that Venezuela and some countries such as Brazil and Canada as well, and use this oil imported from these countries to refinery in their own refinery, and to oil price goes down in their own domestic market, and will be able to export such oil to its neighbor and ally to create a balance in the global energy market as well. In the short term, this option will be able to US to tolerate some energy prices, but it's not option. It's not the solution for a mid-term and a long-term. And for the mid-term and long-term, if the current situation continue in the region, especially we can see some instability in the Bab el-Mandab and Red Sea as well. We can expect that oil price goes up, and we can upcoming election, as I mentioned before, and high oil prices, high energy prices. It means high inflation rate, and it's directly affected the voter in the upcoming election, and it's against Republican, especially Trump interests as well.
Of course, the impact is going to be present as far as the upcoming midterm elections are concerned. So that is why the need to stabilize the situation before this happens is important for the US. Now, last question, Dr. Shukri, the Houthis have attacked Mokcha port and claimed a strike on